Hey, good morning.
Top of the morning, Tim.
Hey, good morning, Evo. I was just getting stuff ready, and I overheard what you were saying. Yes, I am slow to get started every day. I usually wait until 10 a.m., and especially on Mondays, and especially on a Monday right after news has been released, like yesterday. So I'm going to be hesitant today, but this market is incredible. How strong and resilient it is. Even with news, it gaps down and then it just bounces.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible, but also very it's volatile. It's I think traders, especially large firms, I think they know what to expect. They've seen this. They probably know that this is temporary, and this market just wants to keep going. So, and the inverse is happening in oil. I mean, there was a dip. Uh, there was an increase in price, but then it started dropping again. So very interesting, incredible stuff going on. The market is open. AMD just got an alert, all-time high. So I'm going to start looking at my charts here. Obviously, you guys that trade the open, good luck. Like I've said many times, once I removed the open gambling, it made an incredible change in my profitability. So here we go. Monday, April 20th. Things to know before the open. Just reading headlines. Stock futures slide after 3 straight weeks of big gains. Oil prices are jumping because the U.S. blockade. They seized the tanker, and Iran says it will retaliate. More peace talks could happen ahead of ceasefire expiration, which is, I believe, Wednesday. Yeah. Big tech airline earnings report on deck this week. Tesla is on Wednesday, I believe. After market close, and then some airlines. There's still some banks reporting as well. Blue Origin first successful commercial launch ends in mishap. Okay. Shares of Space Mobile ASTS are slumping, so not something that I ever look at. As far as economic calendar, not much going on today. And earnings, like I said, there's like the 5 things to know before the open are saying that some of the airlines are reporting. I will go now on to a higher time frame on TradingView, and we'll start looking at I had things in here, Netflix, etc. I will concentrate on the Qs and SPY, and because it's Monday morning, I like using a higher time frame. So let's look at the 4-hour. 4-hour over the last, I think this is 7 or 8 days, has just been screaming up. We are now above all-time highs again, and it's not like it was just a spike up above and a liquidity sweep. I mean, it's staying up there, and we've had some daily closes up above all-time highs. So it's very interesting. If I were trading the 4-hour, this would be a very interesting level here, and I will put a level for the breakout and then the retest of this level for the possibility of it going higher. Other than that, on the 4-hour, we had the dip on from this morning at 4 a.m. Because the futures, MNQ futures, dipped at 6 p.m. open yesterday, but on the 4-hour, we're still printing green. So the interesting things to watch. From my trading, I would be looking at yesterday's high or Friday's high. And that's where I'm looking at room to the left, and where there is room to the left is above this area here. That's the 4-hour on Qs. Let's look at the same thing on SPY, which is going to be very similar, right? Above all-time highs again. We dipped down, right down to S4 in pre-market and started buying in a higher range. As the people that trade the pivots, it is a buy at S4 when we open just above S4. So people that bought at 4 a.m. here, they're green, right? So again, room to the left would have to get above Friday's high. And that's where I'm going to start looking, or below S4 is the low of pre-market on Friday. All right, so let's get back to the 30-minute. I'm going to start looking at MNQ. MNQ, I've set my my pivots here at 4 a.m. Just wanted to see what it was doing, and I kept moving it up. There was no real pullback. So I'll probably get rid of this. Closer to 10 a.m. is where I'm going to set my next pivot levels. I did the same thing on MES, if I'm not mistaken. Took some sim trades, just practicing things on TradingView this morning. Let's get rid of actually. Let's delete this. Let's delete this. And the 4 a.m. was right over here. So this is what I'd be looking at just for now. Just want to see right now we're buying. So I want to see, are we going to pull back into this area? This would be an interesting area for me to possibly buy. But once we actually print the high and we start pulling back, right now I'm just putting it there because that's where the high is, but I will be moving it getting closer to 10 a.m. once we possibly start going down. I will also be looking at moving my my starting point, but I'll do that a little bit later. As far as and I'm just going to finish with what worked on Friday. So these were trades that I was looking at on Friday. M2K, the Golden Zone short at 13.18. M2K, this was a trade that I looked at on, and please disregard these arrows here. I need to go in there and tell it not to show them because it's all platform stuff here. I was practicing putting in these orders, and I still haven't tweaked it properly. But let's just look at M2K. M2K started selling at this point here on Friday, which was 12:30. Right, we started selling. We've got a fair value gap that formed over here. So once we started selling over here, I just set the bottom of this liquidity sweep, or I thought was a liquidity sweep. I put it down there, and then we retraced to 50 and then started selling. So that was where I set up a sim 3-to-1 trade, and it worked out perfectly. This is a very short time frame for using the golden zone, but it does work on many time frames. Anytime you see the market going up and then pulling back, well, this pullback right here, let's just zoom in a bit. Right, if we just start from here, we're buying and then we're pulling back. Well, the pullback is often around 50%. So that's what worked on Friday, and the other one was a golden zone short at 1240 on gold. So let's look at gold here. I've got it in here. There are two things I wanted to share here. This was the beginning of a drop in price, happened in pre-market. Right, and then we started buying. But look at how it came back to the golden zone. It tipped right into the golden zone. But the reason I didn't like it was, especially if you go on the 2-minute. Sorry for all the zooming in here. Let's go and just look at this. There we go. So we started selling. So I started the fib there and then started buying. So I stopped it here. And then we came back and went right into the golden zone. But I didn't like it because the wick was too long, and it wasn't really a bearish candle, right? This is an indecision candle on the 2 minutes, so this was not a trade for me. I just put it in there as an example. It's not one I would have taken anyway, because it didn't set up properly. But this over here, this was the high, or very close to the high of day, and we started selling and chopping our way down. And then at this point over here, we started buying and we started reversing. It chopped around into the golden zone for quite a while, until it put in an actual bearish candle on the 2 minute. And here it is. It needs to be below the 50. This one was as well. So this one would have worked as well. Here, let's put it here. Right? This candle right here would have worked as well. I would have put my stop above all those wicks because we couldn't make it above there. And then I would have put it at 3. There's 3R right there, and it would have hit right around here. But the better entry was when it continued chopping. Actually, you don't know this, right, ahead of time. So this would have probably been the entry here, but I like this one where it wicked up, rejected, and then tried waking up again and rejected, and then it really closed at the low here. So this would have been another entry with the stop above those wicks. And again, 3R was reached somewhat quickly, right? It's probably about, I don't know, 20, 40 minutes. So that's what I was looking at on Friday. And over the next little while, another 15 minutes, I'm going to start putting fibs and looking for possible break and retest on the futures that I'm looking for. And during that time, I'm going to leave this up on screen and see if there's anything else that you guys are looking at. And pardon my voice, I've been fighting a little bit of a cold since late last week. And again, just for information purposes, my my levels, pre-market high, pre-market low, yesterday high, yesterday low, and PDC, they haven't been absolutely perfected yet. There's still a couple tweaks in it, and the R vol here needs to be fixed. It should be the same no matter what time frame. Right now, I've got it that if I'm on the 5 minute, it's at 78% here, and when I go to the 30 minute, it's at 38%. So there's a glitch in the code here, and I need to fix it. So I'll be doing that sometime this week when I find time. U.S. delegation to land in Islamabad within hours, and Iran seem to be reciprocating this now after saying over the weekend they won't be coming. Bonjour, Ali. It's what's going on in Islamabad and what's going on in the Middle East right now is so hard to decipher what is true and what is not true. Thank you, Tarek, for the get well soon. It's my fault, because I told my wife and daughters last week, after a very busy weekend, they were exhausted, and I said, you know what, I never get sick. And the next day, I came down with a cold. So it's my fault. I shouldn't have said that. I was being cocky. And it's the universe telling me that keep your mouth shut. There you go.
The things we learn.
With what?
Just famous last words, right?
Yeah.
Dang, I got hit with a cold a few months ago in the third week of January. I had a cough for I felt like it didn't fully leave me for, gosh, what was it, like 6 weeks or something? I mean, a long time. It was pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mine coincides with springtime and allergies. So I think it's a little bit of everything, and the lack of sunlight. I don't know if anybody else in here is in Ontario, but in this part of Ontario, it's just, even this morning, we woke up to a dusting of snow again, April 20th, which is not out of, you know, it's still early spring. It happens, but it's been hard to take this winter. The winter has been incredibly long, and the lack of sun is the hardest part of winter in this part of the world.
Yeah, I understand. I remember those days in Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan with its placement with the lake, depending on which part of Michigan,
Yeah.
they can get absolutely pummeled. So anybody looking at anything this morning?
I'm in a gold trade. I took gold long.
You took gold here. Let me go. I'm going to switch between. I'll have this as my 6 tickers on there, and then I'll move this over when I want to concentrate on one. And let's remove these drawings. Let's look at gold. Let's go back to the 5-minute now. So we put in this big gap. This was Sunday opening of the futures market. Started buying, came back above the open, no problem, then chopped around here for a while and started buying these big candles over here. Pretty much, where's the 4 a.m.? Yeah, 4 a.m. we just chopped around. What's this? The close of the Asian market. It's right around. I think this is value, right? These, I don't know what these dotted lines are. I believe it's value. Let's go for a second. Just want to see one thing here. From there, yeah, not the same. Let's get rid of this. It's not what I wanted to do. There you go. So I was just trying to see where the buying really started. I mean, it started once we realized that we weren't continuing going down on gold. So right around yesterday, 8 p.m., this would have been quite the entry right around this level here. Excuse me. Where we broke out and we retested it. And once that retest put in this red but somewhat bullish candle, I mean, that was the long right there. This would have been a beautiful trade last night. Too bad I wasn't watching, because I probably would have taken this as a breakout and then continuation. But not a lot of room to the left. I get that, but we're closing the gaps. That's all we've been doing, is closing the gaps. So sorry, Tarek, I took off on a tangerine there. You're long gold. The closing of the gap here could be a bit of a resistance, but I don't see this market slowing down right now. It's unbelievable. So yeah, good luck. Where do you mind sharing where your target is?
I took a couple of partials at 48, 46. That's the close of the gap.
46, yeah.
But I'm still holding one contract now. I want to see I have this level towards the 48.90. But at least I want to see it if it can go to 48.75.
Yeah, 48.70 here was the low of Friday, which was put in right at the open. And this is what I mean here. I think this market, these lines, the dark portion over here should end at 4 p.m. right here. This is where my calculation works from. But then it actually made it a little bit lower after the New York session closed. And then sold off again. So higher time frame. Let's go to the 30-minute here. Let's just look at some levels here. Pretty much this dotted line here, right? So pre-market high could be a level of interest. And after that, I mean, we've got a couple touches over here. Yeah, this zone here, this area here could be a target. Yeah, it's interesting to see what could conspire here. If we break out, we're just consolidating here. So if we break out of this zone at 48, 46 here, there's definitely some resistance, right? We've got a few 5-minute candles here that have bumped into here. But if we break out of here, there's a fair bit of room to the left up to the close of the market on Friday. So yeah, I'd be looking at the possibility here of a breakout and then a retest for the move higher. Not tons of room until the next higher time frame possible resistance. But seems to be putting in somewhat of a bullish pennant or flag right now. Triangle, whatever you want to call it. And I was looking at oil. I was just testing something out this morning and went in long on oil. Was up 2R, 3R, I think was right around here. And then got stopped out below. Actually, I was surprised at what didn't get stopped out right here because my stop was right below this low. And then I got stopped out on this candle right here when it just dropped. But this was a sim trade. Again, just trying stuff out on the platform with these buttons over here. I'm looking forward to being able to perfect it because that is what I will be using in my live account moving forward.
If I may ask, what are these buttons? Because you were talking about fixed risk.
Yeah, they're not perfected yet, but Tony was helping me. I think Tony's in the room. Yeah, Tony was helping me earlier last week, I should say. Just to set up a market level. I'm not ready to explain it yet because I'm not proficient with it yet, but basically is just setting up your order types over here. So I've got one here that's 3-to-1. It should be, and just for the fun of it, for the top step account, I'm putting in risk at $330, $333. Once I put in this risk, see how it puts in the market order, 3R minus 1R, and it calculates 11 contracts. So like I said, I'm not at the point yet where I want to explain how everything works because I'm still testing it out myself. Like I've mentioned before, and for those of you who are new, I used to use DOS. I've used DOS for years and just stopped using it a couple weeks ago. And I'm getting back into futures. I used to trade futures on DOS, but for the type of trading that I'm doing, I didn't find I needed the entry and the everything with DOS. And I've been using TradingView for their platforming also for years, and it has improved incredibly. And now it's linked to my broker, which is Interactive Brokers. It wasn't when I started using DOS, and now it is. So I'm migrating everything over to TradingView. But look at how it moves here. It's pretty neat. And then you can move you can still move your stop, and look at how it decreases the amount of contracts, right? And it keeps my risk around $333. Now, why 333? Well, because 3R is $1,000. And with the top step combine, you need to make $3,000 to pass the evaluation phase. So, and just full disclosure, the way that it's working right now, as I'm presenting it, is the first time that it has worked. Even when I was working with Tony last week, moving it, and it wouldn't appear properly, but now it's working perfectly. So I don't know why it's working perfectly right now. And then when you're ready, you just click buy. right? Right when you see the pattern, let's say you're looking at going long, if it goes above here, yes, I know you can put a limit order, but I do not like putting in a limit order. I prefer to look at the setup, see what happens. I'm not going to get in as soon as it breaks the high. I want to see the momentum. But then you hit the buy, your take profit is set up, and your stop loss is set up. So it's pretty neat, and you can set it up for a limit order as well. And then if you want to cancel, you just get up. And right now it's only linked to my paper trading, right? Paper trading right there. That's something that I'm going to have to figure out. I think I'm going to have it on 2 different screens because I don't necessarily want to share numbers from my live account. I might. I just I don't think it's necessary, but we'll see.
Hey, Jill.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Tarek. Did you want to follow up?
Yeah, that's very interesting because I'm struggling with these, putting them now. I don't leave. It's very complicated, especially in TradingView for me. So I'm not even able to put stop orders. I just take them off manually and stuff like that. So if you can share it once it's done, that would be great.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. Once I have everything perfectly figured out, I will absolutely be sharing, and that's what I enjoy doing. Avi's music just started there. I'm looking for my. Hang on 1 second. Stop sharing. I'm just looking for my tools. That's not it. That's it right there. That, and share again. Entire screen, and it is screen 2. Share. There you go. You should be seeing my my Excel. So I like this tool for explaining and teaching how futures work, how the tick size works, how the tick value works, how much you need margin for every contract. I like this, and it allows you to figure out how many. Let's say I put this at 2,000. Let's say. And I put the tick really close here, stop loss at 83.09, let's say. I like the fact that it gives you an exceeds account size, right? Right now, margin requires $1.2 million. You only have $50,000 in your account. So this is fantastic. But when you're on the fly, and you want to start analyzing, and I don't get into positions very quickly. They're usually planned out. This works really well. So thank you to Tony that shared that information with me, and is helping me trying to tweak how I can perfect it and how I can then share it and teach it. So thank you, Tarek, for asking that. I will get back to you guys once I have everything perfected. Evo, you're going to say something.
Yeah, it was wanting your take on Tesla. It's at the it's kind of an interesting area because we saw around this area. If you look at the hourly chart, if I can get my charts together here, yeah. I have a bounce area from the 17th, right around 392.50-ish, and I don't know. Just wanted your read on things.
Yeah, sure. This is here. Let's look at a higher time frame here. Let's just put some levels here first of all. Here's this is one of the levels here that I can tell that, right, we strike. Actually, it's not perfectly set. There we go. Right around this area, and it's not just a line. Actually, let's put in a rectangle instead. So right around this area over here, I like that it extends right. So right around this area here is possible resistance. right? It was resistance here, chopped around a resistance here. We tried to come back down here. I'm putting this level here because we are close to it again. And right around this level right here, this I will put a line, right? This was resistance. So if we come back, we hit it on Friday, right? But now if we look lower and just go back a few days, we've been strong. We've been buying, right? Buying sideways, a lot of buying, a little bit of a retest, and then a little bit higher, but then couldn't make any higher and then bounced back. So this right here, I would consider a strong area of support, right? Because we did not go down any lower. And then from here, we chopped sideways and then moved up, hit that resistance. And now we're retesting this level right here. So let's put another level. So I think that's where you're actually looking right now, right? So we seem to be testing this level. So now I'm going to go back to the 30-minute and put in this. Yeah, we just closed the first 30 minutes. Wow, flew by. A lot of volume, closed red. At this point here, for me and my trading and my trade book, I'd be going to the 5-minute. I'd love to see it come down and possibly take liquidity below these wicks here, possibly at S4. So I would put an alert at yesterday's low here, right in here. I'd like to see what will it do here, right? If it just breaks out from here, personally, I don't like it because it was there this morning, right? There's not a lot of room to the left over here. If we come down and take liquidity below here, then I would be looking at a long. But that's the way I trade. I mean, a lot of people would be saying that we did go down and take the liquidity with this candle. Let's extend it. Right, we did come down and then we printed a green candle, but then right after that we made a new high and couldn't go anywhere. So with this candle right here, the buyers are not necessarily in control. I don't know if that helps, but that's the way I would look at it. I'd like to come down and possibly put in, excuse me, what I wouldn't necessarily call a double bottom, but if it comes down and puts in a bottom here and we see a lot of buying from here, then you can tell that, okay, we've got some buyers that are stepping in. And especially if it puts in a wick, you know, a liquidity sweep, it comes down and sweeps right below yesterday's low and possibly start buying right at S4. Like I've mentioned before, S4 in a higher range can definitely be a buying area.
What I like about this zone on Tesla is that it's, if you look at the hourly chart and if you have the SMA 50, it's been above the SMA 50 for a week now. Now maybe it's testing it. We'll see what happens. It kind of tested it.
It must have tested. I don't have it on my screen, so I assume it tested it with this candle here. Did it go below the SMA 50 here with this candle?
Let's see, is that the hourly? Are you talking on the day of the 16th or the 17th?
No, you were just saying that it's just about to test it.
It's kind of right. It's right above it. It's and
so did this candle? I don't know if you can see my screen, but did this candle? Yeah. Did it go down below the 50?
No. It literally the southern wick of the candle touched the SMA 50, and it just bounced a little bit. Now this current candle in formation is just hanging right above it by a thin thread.
Yeah. I don't know if I can.
So we'll see here if.
Yeah, I know that's not right.
Okay, because I trade the derivative, but I'll just look at Tesla. So it all kind of makes sense looking at the 5-minute chart. If it, come on back. So as long as that 393 70 level holds, then maybe we'll see a bounce from here. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the next few candlesticks. But I'm watching that one for sure. And INTC, I'm really liking because INTC is my it's my trade book pattern where it forms the low, the pivot low of the day. We got a little bit of a bounce now, and now I got to just be patient and wait for this thing to curl back. So for me, my top dog would be INTC actually, but I'm also got Tesla that I'm kind of following, and I got HIMS on my chart too, and USAR and ASTS. But for me, nothing is set up where I could potentially get in. But INTC looks really interesting for me right now.
Yeah. INTC, I believe, has earnings this week. So that'll be interesting. INTC, let's just go.
Yeah, the 23rd. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah, I was just going to put this on here. I didn't share it, but earnings calendar. So this is a tool that I like to use here. I just look at the first couple names. See, there's nothing that catches my eye. That is pre-market. That's aftermarket. So this is on Wednesday, April 22nd. We've got Tesla over here. Used to trade Texas Instruments, especially for earnings. I don't anymore. Lockheed Martin might be interesting for some people that trade that one. And INTC, yeah, on Thursday, 23rd, AMC, aftermarket close. Just got something from one of my students talking about Apple. Go back to the 5. Apple broke out this morning. The 4 a.m. Just it dipped down, and then we found buyers. So this tells me that when we see stuff like this with all the uncertainty that's going on, when we see a dip being bought like this, even with all the uncertainty, this shows me that this is incredibly strong right now. So, and everything's being bought up. We go to MNQ, dip is pretty much right at CP. Right, so we've what is 26,837. All right, we've almost reached it. MES has not quite closed the gap from the close on Friday evening. MGC, did it actually close? What the low? 48.47.90 and 48.46.60. We haven't, we're 10 cents away from, so we pretty much call it being closed. Just where the white line is, that's where resistance is going to be. And sure enough, we wicked into it. I'm not saying that it's a sell, but we're just having a hard time making it through this area. If it does punch up above, I'd be looking at the possibility of a breakout and retest on gold. Excuse me.
My INTC trade, no, that's it ain't quite working out the way I would like it to. So, but this is what I train my brain, is to like notice the pattern and look to see if it goes in my favor, and if it doesn't, then I look elsewhere and just kind of let it play out for a while. Maybe on a longer time frame, like a 15-minute chart or something.
Yeah, this on the 5-minute, which is where I like to do a lot of analysis when actually trading during the day. I mean, it seems to have broken down here and then put in a really nice retest for the continuation down, but seems to be finding support over here. So I'll be curious. This level is very interesting. If you go back on a higher time frame, yeah, this was a level of interest right here.
65.89 is the low, and it's testing it right now.
Yeah.
Maybe let's see if it flushes past to like stop people out, and then they'll take it up.
Could be a liquidity sweep lower. But I mean, this is, as far as break and retest patterns are concerned, this is picture perfect. I mean, the break started below pre-market low here, and we never retested this area, but then we broke down, and then when we started buying, we just pulled up a bit and then moving lower again. So that's what's going on with INTC. Apple, what was being said over here?
With INTC, the current price where it's at is the high from the 15th. Anyways, I'm sorry, you wanted to go to Apple, but I just had noticed that as well.
Yeah, so now on the 5-minute, the only way I would, with my trade book, the only way I would buy this is if it put in a liquidity sweep and a 5-minute kangaroo tail. And with the body of this being as massive as it is right now, personally, I wouldn't take it. If it would come down and wick down below S6 here or below the low of this candle and then start buying with a lot of volume, then it could be a possible reversal. I will not buy under S6.
Definitely found some buyers there.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of like a massive red hammer, but I wouldn't go in for a long, but
yeah, on the 2-minute here, it's this is an interesting candle here. If it makes a if it breaks the high here, which it is doing right now, and if it continues punching up with volume, this could be a long. But again, this is very tight. I mean, you're looking here, you're looking at 3R is just above S4. It's just before the retest here, right? So this is, it's possible. Right? Yeah. Now don't get FOMO, but right?
No, but I mean, it kind of has that look on the 5-minute chart. You know, it formed the low, it popped up. You get a little liquidity sweep there. It did punch lower. That's not my ideal.
Yeah. This candle right here is the kangaroo tail that I was looking for on the 5-minute.
Yeah.
Right. But it happened on the 2. But that's why I put in this. Let's just see. Right. If you were to trade 2-minute here.
Right.
I've
got the 1-minute on my chart. And it just broke the sequence of the prior 9. So I don't know. It's kind of looking interesting. I just don't know if it'll give me a really good entry. Because ideally, if it's an entry, I don't want it to be a giant candle where my risk is really huge. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on it. Anyways, maybe someone else has a question.
Yeah, I was just how did you get MLM risk orders on sorry, the question I'm taking a long time to answer here. I just saw it. I got a question on these over here. I was mentioning that I am not proficient with these yet. Didn't want to Tarek asked me a question, so I answered. It is how you set up an order. I mean, let's say you set up an order here with your percentage of balance, et cetera, you can go in here and you can save that preset. And when you save it, those are the presets, and the first letter over here is what prints in here. But like I said, I'm not quite ready to share. I don't like teaching something unless I 100% know what I'm doing. And when it comes to placing orders in TradingView, I'm not there yet. So no, first pull. Yeah, you can do that anytime. Tony, thank you for offering your help. Hamza was saying that MES is the only one that actually reclaimed Friday's close on MES. The close on Friday was yeah, I don't see that it was actually, the close was up here on MES, unless you're getting different numbers than me. Why is my PDC not showing up? PDC is showing up right here, right? So that's Friday's close, and we haven't quite claimed it yet. MES says, oh, okay, right, just the next one. Sorry, he just he just said to ignore the last comment. MGC might be setting up a golden zone. I'll go look at it in a sec. Do you differentiate between Fib 50 play when we are trending up or down or ranging? I don't even put fibs if we're just in a range, if we're just going sideways. But would you trade this strategy when ranging? Going sideways, I not necessarily. What I have been doing is putting in really small micro ranges and not trading them, just studying them. But what I like to see for the fibs to work is an impulse move. I want to see an impulse move like this one. I'm just using this as an example right now. I don't even know what I'm on. MES. Right, so we see that we sold here. So this would be an impulse move. We started selling, and right over here, we started buying. So that's where I'd put my level. And look at what happened. That's where the level would be. We came right to the 50 and then sold. This was not planned. It is incredible how often it works. You wait for an impulse. You wait to see that one of the sides has just regained control. And on the 2 minute here, we see it. On the 5 minute, yeah, we see it. See on the 5 minute? This is where we sold. I start my fibs over here. And then what was the low? What was the swing low of that move? Well, it was right here. I stopped extending my my fibs to the right. They were just getting annoying. So this is where I put the low, right at the low of this wick. And then when it came and retested this, let's replay just for the fun of it. Let's start a new replay. Let's put that one in there. Let's move it one candle over, right? Once we touch, right? I would have put a level here. If I would put an alert, I mean. See how we came down? We put the, I just, the apple, I wanted to see the retest here and the alert went by. Sorry, that was one of my students here saying that this was what he was waiting for. That was the retest over here. There's the break of a bullish candle. So let's just put in what he just took. And 3 to 1 would be before our 6. So there you go. That's just with the stop of below this wick here. So there you go. So that could work. Don't know if it will. Let's go back to MES. Go back to the replay. And what time is it? 10:17 already. There's the retest. This is where I'd move into the 2 minute. I'd want to see a bearish 2 minute. Now, what I want to see is not just, and that's just me. There's people that will say, okay, it touched the 50, I'm in. I want to see it wick in here and then put in a bearish candle. So let's move candle by candle. No entry, no entry. It's definitely respecting that 50. There you go. So for me, there was no entry here. Right? It didn't wick into this area to take out stops or to get liquidity or whatever you want to call it. Some people might have gotten in on a bearish candle. This candle right here is bearish. However, it came right after 2 very bullish candles. So personally, I wouldn't have trusted this one. But once it broke down below this area, we can see that the sellers were in control over here. So there you go. That's how I trade the fibs. I would not have taken that trade. Actually, I probably was looking at it on Friday, and I know I didn't take it. Let's remove this and see if there's any other questions important. All right, yesterday high, yesterday low. PDC on futures are not as important as they are on equities. I have them on there because they are levels that are often respected. over here, pre-market, that was pre-market high. We just chopped around it. PDC, again, what is PDC? What is previous day close? Is it 4 p.m.? Is it 6 p.m.? I like to think it's 4 because that's where volume dies off, right? We can tell that at 4 p.m. here. Let's go to 4 right here. Volume died off, right? So that's what I call previous day close. So I call the open the New York session over here. But they're levels. I like having them on my screen, and you can tell if they are being respected. Right? You can tell, you can have it there. I don't necessarily use them as entry points, but they're often magnets. So that's why I've got them on there. Some use the 38 level. Yeah, a lot of people use all the levels. Here, let's put some fibs, just random fibs here so I can double click on them. Actual fib levels, this is not a fib level. 50 is not a fib level, but 38 is, and then this is extended a little bit. Let's not put that one. The only fib level I believe in is the 61.8. You know, as a mathematical number, it's 61.8. That's a fib level. And fibs are, you know, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, etc. It's just, you know, that's the sequence. And if you divide the last two numbers, it always comes back to 61.8 or 0.618. But what I like to have and what I've always looked at on my chart is the 50% retracement area. So that's why I added in there. And that's what we call, and traders call, the golden zone, the 50 to 61.8.
I like how yours auto fills. Mine doesn't, but because I use Thinkorswim, but
Auto fills, you mean in the color?
Yeah, kind of that golden zone. You got gold coloring in there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very visual. So, and you know, as a former teacher, I like not a former teacher, I'm still teaching. But as a teacher, I like having visual things on there. I don't want too much information on my screen. But yeah, I like the fact that you can color them in.
Yeah. Yeah, no trades for me. Still watching.
Yeah, we're chopping, right? We're chopping up, but right now we're chopping. It's sideways.
Yeah.
The way that I like to trade the fibs and futures is I need to see an impulse move, right? I need to see something like this. Because here you can tell that the sellers are in control. And once you find the direction, then you can piggyback. You can follow. Right? This probably would have been, if I do a replay here, we probably would have seen it over here as well. Right? This was an impulse move as well. Right? We can tell by, and that's why I like the visual fair value gaps, is that visually you can tell that we skipped a level here. Right? The fair value gap basically says that, here, let's go to a 5-minute time frame. Basically says that this, you're always looking for value. You're always looking for people, what are they willing to pay? And here they're willing to pay here. And then they moved up. And then on the third candle over here, usually we come back down to this level. We don't really skip levels, but a fair value gap is that we have this entire range over here that was skipped. We often come back to retest these levels, but that's another story. But that's what I want to see as far as setting my fibs. So I just went like this. So there you go. So we're buying. And we can tell that we're really buying here, but then the market wasn't open. So personally, I would have set my fibs where we started buying. We started buying pretty much on this wick right here. But I want to see where to put the top. Right? Okay, now we started selling. So this would be my bottom. This would be the top. I'll extend it to the right a bit. See how we came back down, touched to the 50 and kept on moving. I already know that this one didn't continue up. Right, let's see, does it touch the 50? It touched it there. Continued up. Did it make 3R? I don't think so. And then this was the close. This I wouldn't have taken because it's way too late in the trading session. But that's how I trade futures. I also look for a break and retest. I also look for my kangaroo tails and my double bottoms and double tops. But in all honesty, kangaroo tails are very rare in futures, the way that I've been looking at them and the way that I trade them. So I've been pretty much concentrating on the golden zone and break and retest. But again, I need to see the move. I need to see who's in control. Right now, I have no idea who's in control. We're just chopping. How's that Apple trade going? You know what? If you went in, you set it and walk away. I shared this in the room over the weekend because Tony had asked a question. I'll share it in here as well if I can find it. Over here, it's no longer in my questions and answers. It's no longer in my clipboard. So copy the image. No, I'm going to do this. Go to the snipping tool. And I'll share this. And this will be a good way to end the session today. This has made all the difference for me. I call it the trade path protocol. If I get into a trade number one, there are two possible outcomes. Either it goes to +3. Let's use this as an example. Right? So let's say I had taken this trade. I've set my stop at -1 and my take profit at +3. Actually, it's for some reason not at +3. There it is. There are two possible outcomes. Am I willing, and let's just use $100. I always use $100 as an example. Am I willing with a bet that looks like it's shaping up? I've tested this. I like that it's above R4, right? But am I willing to risk $100 to make 300? Or am I willing to risk 10 to make 30? It's all the same. 1,000 to make 3,000. And once you put it on, what works for a lot of people is just walk away. So two possible outcomes. You can be +3 or -1. And this comes to sizing. Right? If -1 is -$1,000 on a small account, then you're not going to want to lose 3R. Right? But look at the way that this works. Two possible outcomes, +3 or -1. If you win, you can take another trade. +3 or -1 is the only outcome. If you lose on the second trade, then I suggest walk away. You're up 2R. If you win on the second trade, you can take another trade, +3. And at +9, you can take another one, but then you stop, done for the day, first loss after a winning trade, or 3 losses. Because the second outcome of this trade here could be -1. So if it's -1, I'm basically spending the rest of the day on the right side of this graph. If the next trade is a winner, +3, stop. You're green on the day. You're +2R. If the second trade is a loser, you're -1R again. You can take a third trade. If it loses, you're -3R. If it wins, you're green, you're +1R, walk away. The only path to losses is with 3 straight losses in a row. However, there's a caveat. Caveat? I don't know how to say that word. If you don't have your setups, you might stop at -1 trade, or -1R, right? You're not going to chase. You're only going to take the trades that actually set up according to your trade book. I have found that this And you know what? This is, I didn't invent this. I invented it the way that it is right there. But it's stuff that other traders, other things that I've learned over the years. And it really helps new traders to not overtrade and just be choosy, right? You're only going to take things that you've back tested, that you know work most of the time. And with this, it's hard to do, but you don't move your stop to break even, right? Over here, right? Some people might be saying, oh, I'm going to bring it down to break even. Yeah, but what if it comes down, tests at this level again, then takes off? Well, it took off without you. Not saying how to do it. That part is for every trader to decide. But using the trade path protocol, I suggest that if you're willing to go in here, just set it and walk away. It really helps with the psychology as well. So anyway, I just figured I'd spend 2 minutes talking about that graph that I put in the Discord yesterday, I think. Oh, and there you go.
Yeah.
My alarm for 10:30.
Thanks for sharing that. No, it's good.
Yeah, yeah, Evo. If you take one trade and you're -1, what if your setup appears 10 minutes later and it's a +3, +4, +5, right? So there's so many different possibilities, different ways to trade. Not one way is better than the other. This is just what works for me. It's what I teach, and then once you're proficient, when you've been trading for a long time, like somebody like Avi, well, he's not going to use something like what I teach. He's just going to go with his own, his own knowledge, and he's aiming for 10, 15, 20 R now, right? So when you're aiming for something like that, bringing your stop back to break even is probably safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's once you master your emotions. For me, I'm keeping it to 1 loss per day. If I take a trade, I get stopped out, I'm done, because I want to, I've taken too many discretionary cowboy trades in the past.
Yeah.
So I that's kind of my goal, is to nip that. And if I have 1 loss, I'm done. That way I limit my losses.
Yep.
But ideally, with time, yeah, I'd like to be able to take multiple trades a day if it sets up. So right now it's just sort of me conditioning the emotional part of me just to take a loss, boom, like literally close the station down and walk away physically. But ideally, yeah, I like having 3, and then when a trade goes in my favor, like 2R, once it gets to 2R, then I bring my stop to just slightly above break even, because it shouldn't come all the way back. Then it's not meant to take off.
I do that as well, Evo.
Huh?
I do that as well.
Yeah.
It's if the trade goes if it goes further and it just didn't take my take profit, anything above 2R right now, the way I'm trading, I bring it to break even. Yeah,
and just slightly above in case of slippage. That way, and if you have to pay commissions, that way
your commission. Yep.
No, I'm commission free on my end, but it's
okay.
Sort of hidden. But yeah, I figure. And then for me, I mean, I like the 3-hour concept, but for me, I like to let it roll. But that means, like, yeah, I got into that. I think it was the INTC trade I screen share with you, and it was a great setup. I took it. It got to 3-hour for me. I didn't take any profit. I stopped up break even.
Yeah.
But you know what? I figure if I don't learn how to hold for 10R, I'll never get to 10R if I don't learn how to hold for that. And I'm okay with sometimes stopping out break even. I get skunked, but that's for me, but I totally, I really like your ideas there. And I think, that's kind of neat. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so this trade right here would have been a loser. Right? The apple that I said might have been a break and retest. Not a bad trade. It did break out. However, I mean, it broke out from pre-market high over here. It broke out right at the open here. So the retest might be down here. Right? So I just shared it because it was something one of my students was talking about. But at the end of the day, if you get in, if it follows your checklist, if it follows your rules and you get in, then it's okay to be -1, because if you're consistent over time, and as long as your winners are bigger than your losers, then 50%, 40% win rate, you're going to be profitable. Right, so I have to walk away, but if anybody's interested, I don't know if anybody's in the voice channels lately. We could continue this conversation in the trading chat. If anybody's in there, I'm going to start joining in after the 9:30 to 10:30 session. So yeah, if anybody's around, I'll go in there. And Tony, you seem like you had a question there. I'll answer it in that room if you want when I come back in about 10 minutes. All right, I gotta walk away. Hey, thanks for participating, Evo. It's makes it very interesting, and Tarek as well, and everybody else with your questions. And yeah, let's talk tomorrow.